All right, so apparently we're being live streamed now. So,
Nice.
all right, good evening, everybody. I'm Dustin Coiner from TrackDaz here in SoCal, and I'm on with the Superbike genius himself, good old Shrek.
Yeah.
Richard Stamboli from Fresh and Lean Progressive Yamaha Racing.
You got it.
Yes.
Finally.
Yeah, that's a mouthful, man. I definitely don't want Greg White's job, dude. Like that guy.
How about the HSBK, Warhorse, Ducati New York, and something else?
Or Vision Wheels M4 X-Star, like
Suzuki something with Chris Ulrich.
Yeah. Yes.
Westby's got the easiest one. Westby Racing.
Yeah, they're really easy. They have an Attack semi though, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Might keep it on the road.
But yeah, so you just came off a rather dominant, let's just call it what it was. It was a dominant weekend for you guys. Like, you had the Jake double and you had Cam on the podium both days.
I think Jake's up to what, 5 in a row now, or is it 6 in a row? 5 in a row?
Something. Yeah, I mean,
because he did the double at Ridge. It was the same thing. I mean, it was an exact copy of Ridge. It was Jake and Cameron 1-2 in the first one, and Jake and Cameron 1-3 in the second one. So, we did the West Coast seems to like us for whatever reason. Yeah,
I mean, Jake has this ability, and I don't know how the hell he does it, but he just comes out, he rolls out, and he's not revving up his bike like a madman in the pit, like before he enters the track, and he's in the pit box, and he just kind of casually rolls out, like super easy. He doesn't dart out onto the track. He just kind of cruises out, and then his first flying lap is just smoking fast. Like,
that's kind of the MO of all the recent Moto America and AMA champions, if you think about it. I mean, Matt Millad was the same way. He would roll out lap 2 or 3, he'd be boom, like close to track record, and he would demoralize everyone. Josh Hayes, when he was at the peak of his game, he was kind of the same thing. He would go out and just lead every session and his thing. Cam Bobier, when he rode our bike, the same thing. Boom, just go out and straight away. I think the last time we had a good back and forth with the top 2 was other than this year. I mean, Petrucci's really coming along pretty well, I'd say, and he's a really strong second place guy. And Cam Peterson's, he's knocking him off that second place regular spot.
Oh,
sure. So I think those two guys are doing good, and same with Westby's guy, Stoltz. He's come up quite a bit, but in the past it was always like Matt Millad versus Ben Spies.
Right.
And then for a while there it was Cameron Bobier versus Tony Elias.
Yeah.
So until we get that same pairing up, I think you'll see a little bit more of Jake checking out.
Well, Jake, I don't know. I think he's pretty modest too. Like he knows he's got everybody.
Not to me, he isn't.
He's got everybody covered, but when you talk to him, he's just like, yeah, it's gonna be tough. I'm gonna work my ass off, and then he goes out there and just ruins everybody. So, but this weekend was a little bit different for him too, because his crew chief was out sick, right?
Yeah, he had that COVID. Spanish flu. Was that Chinese flu?
I think they called it the Kung flu.
Kung Fu flu.
Yeah. Wow. So he had to stay home. So
yeah, we had a little debate before. He kept texting me going, "What do you think if I can?" Because he got it the Wednesday before that week. I said, "Dude, I don't think you should get on a plane, and you don't be responsible for killing some old lady you sat next to, And we don't want to be like that guy that rode our bike last year. Can't mention his name.
God damn it.
Who hops on a plane with a COVID like a dummy."
Well, the thing is,
So he at the end, he has an elderly mom that lives with him too, so she got it too.
Oh wow.
And she was not doing too well. So I said, hey, you know what, man, stay home. We'll do it remotely. Get better. And yeah, it worked out all right. We had Mike Canfield take over. So we went one up. I mean, if you remember your basic training, you got to learn your job from the guy above you and below you and next to you and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So, you know, Mike was a crew chief before for what the hell's his name? Anyway, he was a crew chief before, and JD Beach. Yeah. So he was a crew chief with him, and then you know, he's got a little bit of experience, except his notes are kind of like hieroglyphics.
He can probably read them though, right?
Yeah, I think that, yeah, he can, you know. So I showed him that the 1990s way, an Excel spreadsheet. They could punch in his information, and we brought him up to the 90s anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had a new name for him, you know. It was called Chief Silverhair.
That's fair. That's fair.
And then I saw him running across the paddock to go get his notebook or something. I called him Chief Silverhair running slowly.
You know what, Mike's a funny guy, because he's, you know, I still can't get that the old guy from Up out of my head every time I see him.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I did a comparison, a layout photo with the old man from Up and Mike together.
Yeah. Is that you?
Yeah, it was. God damn it.
Silence your phone. It's like hell you.
That was I'll just rat him out. That was Duffy. So there you go.
Tell him shut up. Go away.
Duffy Gaver, he's a rider of ours, and he I think he's a former Navy SEAL. So
okay. Tell him not to shut up.
yeah, you know, I mean, if I did, he'd probably kill me, right? So
nah, you got patience.
So yeah, so having Corndog remotely, I mean, you had your data guy most of last season remotely, right? So
yeah,
you know, having Corndog out one weekend, probably not too bad. Have you talked to him since? Is he okay? Is he good?
Yeah, we message each other, you know. So it's kind of nice being the smartest guy in the trailer. But then again, there's Marshall, so I guess I was second smartest. Well, there's Tom Halverson, so I guess I was third smartest still.
Oh.
Wait, Mike got in there, so damn it, I was fourth smartest.
Wow, that's funny, man. So you know, I'm actually got a commenter right now, and I'm just gonna throw it out there. Alex, I don't even want to try to pronounce your last name, dude. Sorry. But you said that after the performance last weekend, I think a lot of people are dying to see Jake and the Attack bike on the grid in Portimao. What do we have to do to make that happen?
Send money. As you know, it's funny they say that, because that's 2 weeks after our last round, and so we're already starting the kind of the planning thing. Talking to Olga over there at World Superbike and Scott Smart, trying to see what we need to do to get our bike to World Superbike spec. You know, they have a lot of stuff you have to do. You need tire temp sensors, and you need to output through a CAN bus on your MyLapse. You know, there's a transmitter that transmits all the info off the bike, so those guys can see it live, like tire pressures and various things that the engine does.
Right.
And so they have some new standards you have to do before you can run that class. And so we got to work a little bit towards that. And yeah, so we're going to see if any of our sponsors will step up to help with that travel expense. So
that Alex guy says that we should start a GoFundMe.
Yeah, you know, John said that. And I said, yeah, it's not my thing, because every time I hear that, I feel like I'm begging. Please help me. I'm a poor, starving race team that needs, you know, a few $1 million to race all year long.
Yeah.
It's a fun hobby. Please help me.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem right. You know, GoFundMe could be like.
Well, I think we should post it up like, hey, let's send our American guys to the big dogs and see, you know, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, Pirelli, you know, we did the deal with Pirelli for Daytona. And with that came a little caveat, hey, you need to help us a little bit with the World Superbike round if we choose to do it. And I think they might step in and help with some of that. You know, if we win the championship and they can advertise, hey, we got the American champion over here riding, I think that might work out well. So yeah, I mean, we're looking forward to it. Just trying to, in the planning phase right now. Portimao would be a good one for Jake, because I think he really likes that track. He's been there before. And yeah, we'll see what we can do. I was actually watching Portimao today. Last year's race with Top Rack and remember Baz went there after the last round.
Right.
He finished third. So I was thinking to myself, man, I forgot.
That guy could finish third after we smoked his ass all year.
I know, but he's a good rider, and he was on a track he really likes, on Pirellis, and he really likes, and so it's a little bit different. I was watching the riders, and they don't snap it up the way Jake does here. So I don't know if that'll be a benefit for him when he gets there, if he gets there, or it'll be a deficit. So it'd be interesting to see. They were flowing the corners a lot more than I remembered.
So I have a bunch more comments, but I'm going to pause them, except for the last one from Matty Testa.
Yeah.
He says, if you guys are planning on going to Portimao, are you guys going to get to test, at least test with the Pirellis prior to going, or?
Yeah, Olga hasn't came back to me yet, so I can't say, oh yeah, we're definitely going to go. And I wanted to get with Fresh and Lean a little bit and see if they'd help us out with some of the support. I don't want to change the colors of the bike because somebody gave us a couple of bucks and we got to go repaint the bikes and get new uniforms and all that kind of stuff, Right. So I'd rather just go with the team the way it is. And I know Jake's really into it. John's definitely into it. He's got some unfinished business over there in World Superbike, so I think he's anxious to go. And it'll be a fun deal. But we'll get some rubber. We'll have it flown in here, and we'll go do something probably after Pittsburgh. We have a couple of weekends off. Maybe we'll go do something either local or find a racetrack somewhere we can do some laps on those things.
Right on.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get back to the weekend here. So obviously Jake did what he did, but there was something a little bit different this weekend. Jake didn't get pole. Matt Skoltz got pole. So what happened there? Because it looked like he was rolling, and then he came in, and all of a sudden, while he was sitting there, he got knocked off.
That is a strange thing, and I've been thinking about that. And as soon as Cameron rolled down to 23.5, I go, and he bettered Jake's time. I go, that's pretty damn good. I think Jake's going to pop out and do a 22 or something on a tire. And they both rolled out on what they call the Q tire, the 516 compound tire.
Right.
Both of them said it didn't feel like anything special. It was actually had more spin and more slip than the 197 race tire. I think we could have gone a little faster if we just gave them another shot on a brand new race tire. So for whatever reason, I think our bike does really good on the race rubber. And the difference between the race rubber and the Q is not that big a deal for us. So it wasn't like a gigantic problem with our bike that needed to be fixed. That's all I'm saying. So I think that Matt, it bandaged something that was going on with the bike, and he was able to take advantage of the race rubber or the Q tire.
Okay.
So it could be that our power deliveries were matched to the race tire real close. So that's something else I want to look at with Marshall. So if you can think about it, we control the torque quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
The bike to make sure we don't damage the race tire all race long. And so with that, maybe we're just not applying enough to the. That's one thing, So we got to look at some data and see why. But neither guy went any better on that Q tire than the race tire, which was good because we knew we could just jump out and do the race lap straight away. So I wasn't too worried about the race, but it was just kind of odd.
So Jake also kind of mentioned something that he thought he may have gone out too early. He may have pulled the trigger too soon.
Maybe he did. The only thing he told me was, it didn't feel like it was all that great.
Yeah.
And then Cameron, he didn't get a really good lap in either. Just didn't get a clean one. I don't remember if he got hung up by somebody or not, but I thought we had a pretty clear lap, and we just didn't get it done.
Okay.
So it wasn't just as good for whatever reason. Yeah, so we're still looking at that.
Yeah, it was a shocking thing to not see him get pole. Like that's.
Yeah, he's been on pole every racetrack, even the ones we've not done well at.
But even from third on the grid, he still rocketed off and disappeared from everybody, right? I mean, we watched him get out to like nearly 5 seconds, and he just kind of maintained 4.3 basically till the end.
Yeah, we have a pretty good handle on our clutch for the launches, and we got some little tricks we do with that thing. And then we have a pretty good handle on how much power we can apply to that chassis. except when it's half wet, because then we can just blow the tire off the rim like we did at Road America.
Right.
You know, on Jake's bike anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, and then obviously Cam. I mean, Cam was throwing down some times too, man. Like he really wasn't that far off Jake's times, but they were just far enough to where Jake got away. But Cam felt it, you know, found himself in the scrap with Petrucci there at the end.
Yeah, he definitely 100% bettered him in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he made it. The only thing that gave Petrucci, I think, the ability to claw back at him was he made a few mistakes, ran wide in turn 2. So I think Cam's still getting his bearings of what the bike can handle, what it can't, to get that consistency. But we've been working on that.
Yeah.
We've been working on rolling into the weekend. We've been working on his consistency. So we've been working on a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Trying to make sure that he maintains that race pace. And it seems like him and Petrucci are kind of paralleling each other right now, as far as how fast they get up to speed.
Right.
Yeah. Which is not a bad place to be, considering a MotoGP guy that's been racing MotoGP since 2013 or 12 or something.
Right.
You know,
right.
won a MotoGP race. Not a bad place to be racing that guy.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they, you know, case in point, the morning warm up on Sunday, right? I mean, Jake rolls out. His first flyer is some ridiculous 23, and then he does it again, his second flyer, and then he just kind of cruises and you know, he basically burns the whole session at his race pace, I guess.
Yeah.
Whereas it took the other guys, it took them, I think it took Cameron until the third or fourth lap to go into the ridiculous zone. And you know, Petrucci didn't get there until towards the end. So it didn't look like, it looked like those guys, we talk about this all the time, right? It looked like those guys can throw down the super fast time once or twice, where Jake lives there. He parks an RV there and just, you know, he's like making s'mores at the low time.
Yeah, Jake's got a lot of confidence in the bike. He knows the tracks really, really well. And Cameron's still building his confidence and his consistency, where Petrucci lacks the confidence.
Mm.
You know, if you listen to any of his interviews, like you read the European magazines, or I mean online mags or whatever, he's like in a little battle in his own head as far as how hard he should ride. So I think that's an issue. And then by the time he gets the confidence, Jake's already gone.
Right.
You know, the weekend's already done. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know if that dude will ever snap out of it and make a good second year. And if he does, he might be somebody really we're gonna have to race against. You know, but right now it sure seems like he might be one of his own worst enemies, you know.
Yeah. Well, it was great to see Cameron not allow himself to be bullied there and turn, you know, the corkscrew area at the end.
Yeah, I'd already walked out the pit wall, and I'm like, well, and you know, I got a little deal with the team that if we finish 1-2, then I buy dinner, right?
Yes.
You know, alcohol, everything all included.
Right.
So I was walking out the pit wall, and the dong of Taco Bell kept going off in my head, you know, dong, dong. I'm thinking Taco Bell for dinner, nice. Don't even serve beer there. And then I hear the screaming, you know, because everybody's still watching the TV, and Mike's like, oh, fuck yeah, you know, he's like going off, like he's having his Tourette's moment, you know, or you know, luckily he didn't pull off his pants and walk off into the distance, you know. Big Chief Silver hair.
I got nothing for that, dude. And thanks for the visual too.
You know, the whole team's getting a little older, so we're all getting a little goofy. So anyway, he's screaming like he's got Tourette's, and I'm like, what's going on? I go, oh, Cameron must have passed him, or they're having a good fight. I didn't see any of it until afterwards. And they're, oh, you missed it. That was great. Like, all right. And we wave, and everyone's to go by. Yay, we won. Yay, we're second. You know, and then I went back and watched it. Now, that was pretty cool. It was like the Rossi Stoner thing all over again.
I mean, it looked like they made some pretty good contact there. Was the bike,
oh, they did. They were wiggling and wobbling, you know.
Was the bike damaged when it
No, I think it got Cameron. He got Cameron's leg and his shoulder and kind of shoved him out because he's hanging off the left, right?
Yeah.
So he got Cameron first, and on the podium he's like, well, I know I was coming in there kind of fast. I was hoping I would only hit him a little.
Yeah, I was hoping I'd only hit him a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I sat in the truck with you and we watched the replay of that many, many times after the protest.
Oh yeah, the
I
protest.
guess they protest that team, not Danilo didn't do
Yeah,
that.
I don't know who, but
So like, let's just direct that right where it is.
yeah,
Exceeding track limits to gain an advantage. That's the
something like that.
Yeah.
We don't even have it. We don't have that green paint penalty thing, where you do a long lap.
right.
We don't have it in Motor America, and it wasn't in the riders' meeting. The only thing I think they talked about was the last corner. If you ran out, on that white or the green, whatever is there, you have to come back. You have to come back on the track before the white runs out. Otherwise, you get penalized.
Okay.
And it's that way that people didn't jump the dirt at the end and run down the wall over there. So trying to keep it safe. And so
I was that guy that ran along the wall there.
yeah, probably. Anyway, so so Petrucci knocks him off the racetrack, and then they go and they think they're in MotoGP or something, and they want to get a long lap. They say, oh, he ran over the paint stripe, and so therefore he should be docked 2 seconds or whatever. And race control basically laughed at it. It's like, are you kidding me? You booted the guy off the racetrack. Even in World Superbike and MotoGP, they would not be penalized if they got shoved off the racetrack or they ran wide. Yes, he held his spot, but he was leading going into the corner, and then he was leading. He was side by side coming down the hill, and he was leading after he exited turn 9, rainy corner. So he didn't gain an advantage, and he was forced to do that error anyway. And then if you roll back to remember when Cameron ran wide in turn 2, and then Petrucci got him, and then he was trying to split, and he ran wide in the corkscrew.
Right.
He actually exceeded the track limits in the exact same spot.
Right.
So it's kind of funny and ironic that they would complain about us getting bumped off the racetrack versus him running wide because he's trying to go fast.
Right.
So the whole thing is kind of funny, but I get it. The team's trying everything they can to hold on to the championship.
Right.
And it's within their right to bring up to race control whatever they think is wrong. I don't think they had all their facts together.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know that when it went down, Cam was pretty upset, man. Like, I didn't realize what had happened. So I went to talk to him, and he was really frustrated, and then he had to go to wherever the race control is and deal with that.
Yeah, I think they should have.
Pretty heated.
Yeah, Motor America should handle that a little bit differently. They should have got one of the team representatives to talk to.
Right.
Instead of contacting Cameron direct, because he was about ready to leave the racetrack with his
Yeah.
wife, and then he gets a call from the rider, whatever they call him, the rider rep for Motor America.
Right.
And he says, hey, you're summoned up to race control. I was like, oh crap, she starts freaking out. What did I do? You don't get called up there unless you're going to get your hand slapped or something, or get a penalty. They should have said, we need the rider representative from the team, or team representative and the rider, not the other way, not call up a rider. I think what they intended to do was just say, hey, no big deal. They filed a protest, it's not a big deal. There's nothing there. But yeah, Cameron got a little spun up.
So let's go to race 2. Yeah. I mean, pretty much same story for Jake. He gets an epic start, disappears. His gap got quite a bit bigger this time.
Mm-hmm.
And then he maintained it at that bigger gap all the way to the end. But this time he did several 23s in that race. And then he did low 24s all the way until like the last 5 laps. Whereas the other guys, 5 laps in, they were doing 25s or slower. Yeah,
Jake was something like, was it 3 seconds? I wrote it down over here. I think he was 93. Yeah, I think he was about 3 or 4 seconds faster that race than he was in the previous race.
Okay.
So he would have gapped himself like 3 or 4 seconds. So I was looking at the total distance and time that on the data logger. And yeah, after they cross the start finish, when they let the clutch out versus when they come in from the end. And yeah, he was an impressive pace. But if you want to back up some more, if you look at Cambobier's record-setting pace back in 2020, both Cameron Peterson and Jake Gagne went faster than Cambobier did that. Even though Cambobier has a track record with a bunch of 23s, he pulled that 11-second gap and stayed there. You know,
Right.
but he wasn't at the same time, he wasn't pressured. So it's not a real fair comparison, but my point is that the racing is more competitive. So the pace is higher from start to finish.
Yeah.
Like no one's relaxing with 11-second gap.
No. That totally makes sense too. And then obviously sort of a replay from race 1, except Petrucci came out on top this time. It looked like there at the end on the last lap, Cam had something and he had some pace, and then it looked like he might have tucked the front or something at the G out spot in the corkscrew, and that was it. Race was over basically.
Yeah, I mean, he started to give up some grip, so he couldn't get a run on him like he did in the first. I couldn't ride around him like he did in the first race, and you know, he made a mistake going on this first flyer. You know, he had to start out around, and he made a mistake, and I think Scholz ran wide with him in turn 2.
Yeah.
If you look at the data, he was actually into turn 2 like quite a bit faster, on the throttle quite a bit longer over the rise.
Yeah.
And he was actually in there faster than he was on his best Q lap.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and yeah, so he got in there too hot, ran wide, basically crashed the bike.
Yeah.
You know, on his knee, on his elbow. I think I can show you the data if you want to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure everybody wants to see what it looks like to crash the Superbike over there. And
yeah, well, a squiggly line, so it isn't as exciting as a video of a crash.
I mean, on the data though, I mean, you know, it by all accounts, he basically crashed the bike and then somehow didn't.
Yeah, let me see if I can share the screen here. Let's see what we get. Ready?
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, you see that right?
It's coming up now. Yep.
Okay, so let's find our. So up here is like a comparison of 2 different laps. The red is his second flyer, and the green is his first flyer. So if you want to see what he did, you see how this is the throttle. You know, this big square or rectangular towers blocks.
Yeah.
So he was on the throttle. I'll zoom up into just that section.
Okay.
So he goes in here and he's on the throttle longer, and it's him rolling out, and then he gives a little squirt right before he gets onto the brakes, you know, like over that rise. You know, if you look at the graph here, you know, where the map is, you can kind of see where he's basically up in the highest part of that turn 1 area, and then gives a little squirt. So you can see how much longer he held the throttle open.
Yeah.
It's considerable, right?
Yeah.
Then he gets in and he's like, oh crap, I'm in a little hot. And he hits the brakes, but doesn't hit it as hard because I think he's in a little wide. And then he holds the brakes, and he holds the brakes. The brake pressure is this guy here.
Yeah.
You know, so he's at, on his next lap, he's like 10 bar. On this one's like 9 bar and not even that strong in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then he feathers it in later. And then right about here, so if you see these graphs down here, let me turn off the one where it's in the next lap. It's a little, yeah, so it's a little easier to see. Okay, so now you see it. So he's in a little hot over here. Gives a little squirt. Scholz is following him somewhere back here. Then he gets on the brakes, isn't quite as hard as he'd like going in there, and he tapers off. And then right about here, he crashes the bike, basically, for all intents and purposes, is down. So I'll zoom up a bit right in this section. And if you look right here, where that's the throttle.
Yeah.
That's him falling off the seat. Now, I could say he was brilliant and he rolled the throttle open to save the front. Maybe he did. I don't know. I didn't ask him.
Or he was falling off and he just
and he squirted the throttle. But that squirt of throttle pretty much saved the front, because see where this little yellow line is over here?
That little dip.
That little dip, that's the front tire slowing down.
Oh, wow.
And then that red dip, that's the rear tire skidding around. So those things come apart from each other. The red's going faster than the front. That means the rear is going faster than the front. So, and then here, this is the lean angle. So he's going in right now, 63.8 degrees. And instantly he gets to 68.3 degrees. So it picks up like an additional 5 or 6 degrees of lean angle.
That's a lot of lean angle. Like what's that's
it's 70 degrees. You're basically on the ground, right? And then he lucked out and both tires came back together and the front was going faster than the rear, which is nice when you're, leaned over. And then he was able to get the thing kind of slowed down to 49K, and he picked the throttle up and accelerated out. So, nice save. But if you look at that lap, let me zoom back out again. So if you look at that lap, see this green line right here?
Yeah.
You see that? That's what we call the variance, the delta.
Yeah.
So you're going in here, you start 0-0 when you're cross start finish.
Yeah.
And the data logger keeps track of when, or this analysis software shows you where you've gained or lost time. So he goes in here and he actually gains on his next best lap half a second going into turn 2 on himself. So he's going in there half a second faster than his best race lap. And that was actually 0.2 faster than his Q lap and 5 kilometers an hour faster than his Q lap. And so then, he almost crashes the bike and he ends up losing by the time he gets out of turn 2, almost 0.4 of a second.
So he only lost 0.4 after crashing the bike. And
yeah, he lost 0.4, ran wide this and that. It took him a little while probably to get the confidence back,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then he ends up making up a bunch of time over here, losing a little time, and a little bit up and down. But this isn't a perfect science. This deal here, it's more like, hey, you're fast in this sector and you're slow in that sector, and you can compare. This is the way we show Cameron like what Jake's doing, what Cam Beaubier did. As a matter of fact, Cam Beaubier, okay, stop sharing this. Cam Beaubier was there. I was chatting with him a bit, and I said, hey man, thanks for all the good data from last year, because we're able to use it to improve our riders. Like you can take and look at Cam Beaubier's traces and go, hey, this is an area you might have to improve if it's a track that. And he said, oh, you guys have been faster pretty much everywhere except here. I said, yeah, the bike's better. Every year it gets better, but we still haven't been able to go a better race pace than Cameron Beaubier did. And he was just on it that year. It was the end of the season and he had nothing to lose. He was already the champion and he just went for it, Laguna. And it was, but it was really good data for us to have, to be able to see what a really fast lap around Laguna Seca is like. Right.
Yeah, Jake has had some issues this year with the championship. So, he says he doesn't give a shit about the championship, but he cares.
Yeah, but he's just not counting points. He's just trying to go win races,
Right.
As soon as you start counting points, that's when bad things happen. Seems like every single time. Count your paycheck before you get it. Oh, I'm going to win the race tomorrow. I'm going to go get myself a new this and that.
Right.
It's right about then you hit the ground.
Well, that dude isn't that guy. Jake's not that guy. He's a bit of a hoarder when it comes to that. But
I don't know what he does in personal life.
Well, he doesn't
matter as long as he knows how to do this.
He doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't. He's not the guy that's buying a Ferrari or whatever. He was just telling me he just got it was his first brand new truck. He got a new truck, and it wasn't even anything spectacular. It was like a Nissan Frontier or something. He's super humble and low key because talking to him, he realizes that this career of his it's a pretty narrow window to make money, and
not to Josh Hayes, it isn't.
Well, Josh Hayes is another thing.
He'll be racing until he's 70.
Yeah, I would not be surprised by that either. That dude he still wants to get some,
He wants it. I asked Jason Pridmore, I said, is there any desire to go do this again? He goes, hell no. I I asked Roger Hayden the same thing once. We were standing in line for our credentials at Daytona, 2 hours or whatever it was. He's like, nope, no business being out there. He's done. You know, he goes, I knew when I was done.
Well, both of those guys kind of retired on their own accord. And, and Josh kind of got retired.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. The Superbike seats ran out.
Right. So I get it. You know, I can relate, I guess. I can understand what he's saying.
Josh Hayes is still pretty hungry.
Dude, he is. He is. Like, before Daytona, I was talking to him, and he was just like, man, I ain't had a Dr. Pepper in 4 months or whatever it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just said that out loud, and whatever. But, so... All right, so I'm going to go back to the questions now, because there was quite a few, and I'll just start back up with that Alex guy with the GoFundMe thing. Alex is saying it wouldn't be you asking; it would be coming from me, so it's okay. It'd be coming from Dustin, not Richard.
Yeah, but it represents the team anyway. But
yeah,
I get it.
Yeah. So then Frank O'Hagan is wondering how Jake and Cam compare for avoiding quote unquote coasting before turn 2 and before the corkscrew. Are they both equally hard on the gas until they brake hard, or is there a little bit of coasting?
Yeah, that's a good one. The best non-coaster I've seen at Laguna Seca was Cam Beaubier. And I can show you some of that data. Jake does have a little bit of coasting, something we need to work on. I was showing Cornwell that. He is a little bit digital with a brake at Laguna Seca. And Jake will admit Laguna Seca is not one of his best racetracks.
Really?
Yeah, no. He's better at not coasting other spots. But Laguna is more flowing, and Jake's more pick it up and go, like a ridge really fits him.
Right.
He gets in there, pulls the brake, gets the apex, and then picks it up and fires out of there, right?
Yeah.
Laguna Seca is a little more flowing than that. You got to drag the brake, the apex, to pull the bike, keep the front end down, and open the throttle as quick as you can. Hopefully electronics help you out in that area. But yeah, I think Cam Beaubier he had 0 coast time in almost every single corner, where Jake had a little bit, and Cam Peterson's got just a tiny bit more.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I can show you the difference if you want to see
it. Sure, show it to us.
All right, let me see.
Let's visualize what the people are asking for.
Yeah, one of the things that Cam Beaubier was good at was he kept momentum, and that's how he got to that 23-1. So let me just let me pull up the data here from 2020 race 3. I think it'd be this one. So here's his fastest lap, 23-1 in race 3.
Okay.
Okay, and then if you look at the brake pressure, the white, is the purple, which is throttle, you can see there's no gap here.
Yeah.
So if you look at turn 2, the brake goes right to the throttle pickup. Like he leaves his finger on there all the way to the apex, and then boom, picks up the throttle. And then if you zoom along, okay, so in turn 3 on this lap, for whatever reason, he coasted a bit, but it wasn't that way every lap. And then same in turn 4. But then when you get to turn 5, it's almost nothing. When you get to turn 6 over here, nothing. You get to the corkscrew, nothing. I mean, the guy wasted no time from the brakes to at least cracking the throttle.
Right.
And then you get into this corner here, he must have had a good head of steam coming down the hill. He actually did coast a little bit. And sometimes it depends on the corner. It's not as convenient to pick up the throttle because you want the bike to keep turning. But if he could drag the brake a little bit longer here, he might have been able to get to the apex, but he might have already been pointed at the apex. So dragging it a bit more might have slowed his momentum. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, here, turn 11, nothing.
That dude has 0 wuss gap.
Yes, exactly. So then you go to this year, and just keep that in mind. You go, let's go race to 23-4. Yeah, it's within like 2.5 tenths of what Beaubier did. And then you can see heavier, like this is just turn 11, heavier braking, not as tapered in.
Yeah.
And a little bit of a gap, strong throttle.
Yeah, his throttle is way like
His grip just goes straight to open.
Yeah,
and he was just getting fired out of turn 11. Our bikes, I think, were really strong coming out of turn 11. And we use first gear there. You can see the gear chart.
Yep.
I was watching some video of Matt. He might still be using second gear there because I thought I saw one back shift going into turn 11, and that really slows our R1s down if we don't use first gear coming off of there. It helps you with the entry and it helps you with the exit. So it gives you a little bit of higher resolution for the throttle when you're braking in that corner. So anyway, there's that.
Wow, that's a thorough answer to that dude's question.
That's a question. Might as well show some graphics to support.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, Ricky Von Ricky wants to know, why don't we sell merch? It's a win-win for everyone.
What?
The guy wants the race team to sell
merchandise.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a time thing. It's hard. Our shop does a certain kind of business, and then we start getting the merchandise, and it's a bit of a distraction on the stuff that we already do. But it's something that we want to work on. And if I had somebody, if the demand was there, if it was MotoGP, we'd be selling it through the MotoGP store basically and getting royalties.
Well, I did see quite a few of those Daytona shirts.
Yeah, we did pretty good with those. Yeah, we did pretty good with those, and maybe something we look at for next year.
Okay.
But late this year.
Fair enough. And then let's see. And then Bob Schulten is he's a good dude. He rides and races too, and he's been around forever. But he's got a lot of commentary about Petrucci being injured. So
is he still injured?
I don't know.
He didn't say anything this weekend. He was much more pleasant this weekend than.
Dude, he had a smile on the podium.
Yeah, you see Sarah's pictures. I mean, she had quite a few pictures of him smiling and like joking it up with Jake. I'm like, what the hell is going on there?
It's like, hey, who is this guy?
Can't you be the evil villain? It's fun to race an evil villain. Don't be a nice guy.
Okay, so then this is a weird question, and the answer is no. But Alan Rodriguez asks, can CRA come out to the Ridge for race coaching and track days? And I'm like, I don't think so, man. This is California Road Race Association, and Washington's a hike for us, man. Let's see. That Alex guy said, what are some indicators in the data that tells you a rider is overriding or rushing the corners? Do you look at a variance in split reports or longer distance traveled over a lap?
Look at the variance. It doesn't necessarily equate to a longer distance travel. Sometimes you look at lean angle and how long they're slowing down, and if they're not able to open the throttle, that will tell you that they've gone in a little hot and had to spend a little time on the side of the tire to get the bike turned. So it's tough to see a whole distance travel thing because all the corners are a little bit different. Depends on the racetrack, but you can definitely see it on the amount of brake pressure, lean angle, how fast the V is in the change direction, from lean angle. And that's always lets you know if how they're getting through the corner.
Okay, that's fair. All right, Mike C mentioned, and I was going to mention this anyway because I think I heard some chatter from Gagne when he was talking to Mike during one of the practice sessions, but he said something about something 0129, or does that sound right? Like the new
tire.
Yeah, I guess there's a new tire. Was there a new tire? Am I mistaken on that?
No, they're bringing out a new front at Brainerd.
Okay.
Japanese front, and it's a little bit smaller on the edge, so it'd probably be a little more pointy. I guess it might change direction a little bit easier, but I don't know if it'll build a bunch of confidence. I don't know. We may try it in one session just to see what it does, but I'm not sure.
Well, I think maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Jake was talking about the rear. What's the softest?
Well, there's a 129 on the rear that was allocated. That's the normal tire, basically. That's without color on it now.
Okay.
It used to be the 0097 was what they call the black tire, which was no color. And they brought the colors back, which is kind of cool.
Right.
The fans can see who's running what. But the normal black tire is what they call the 129,
Okay.
and then the 197 is the red tire.
Okay.
That's like softer than the 129.
Yeah, I think that's what Jake was talking about, and he was like, "Man, that thing is good." So,
The 129?
or no, the other one.
The 197.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe early on, because we started with the 129 to see if the situation has changed from the previous year. Because we tried the 129 the first session, they come in, that thing's crap. It's got no grip, blah, blah, blah. And then you put on the 197 and you go, well, that one falls off too, but it goes faster in the beginning. So let's stick with that one.
Right.
So,
Right.
And then you start working on electronics and suspension and stuff to try to make the drop a little less severe throughout the whole race. Let's put it that way.
So that Mike guy says, have you guys tested the new front? And if not, as a crew chief, would you test a new tire during the race weekend in practice one?
Not in practice one. Maybe start in Q1 with it just to see and have your because at least I wouldn't do it with my rider, because I wouldn't want to spool them up on something that doesn't work.
Okay.
Or potentially doesn't work. I'd rather go out what they know, chassis geometry that they're really consistent with, and go out and have a good first session.
Okay.
Then they get that in their head, like this is the way the bike feels now, and then you would throw something in there somewhere else. It might be Q1. I wouldn't want to do it for Q2, because Q2 you're kind of serious about getting lap time.
Yeah.
Especially if the weather's good for both days. If the weather's bad for day 2, then you're serious in Q1 about getting a lap time. So I'll probably do it in Q1.
All right. So this one's from Dave Thomas. He's another club racer. He's from up north. He raced with us. He raced at Laguna this past weekend.
Up north, Canada?
No, like Northern California.
Oh, that's north.
I think he's a Carter's guy. Rides a BMW. Anyway, so he's the guy that hucked a foot peg at me a couple weeks ago. Anyway, so he says, "What's up, gentlemen? This question is sponsored by Wendy's." It's a little joke because he's Dave Thomas.
Okay. Does he own a Wendy's?
I don't know. Some guy named Dave Thomas apparently owned Wendy's. And,
okay.
I tried to order a Biggie Frosty from him in the pits, and it didn't work. But anyway, so he says Jake's pickup on exits compared to Cam's exits. Does it make the electronics geometry very different or similar, but they ride different?
Is he talking about traction control?
Yes.
It changes the traction control because traction control is lean dependent.
Okay.
But we can tune that for
Yeah.
the individual rider. What it does change is what part of the tire you're getting off.
Okay.
So if you get the thing off the edge of the tire, because the edge of the tire is getting overheated like it does at Laguna, then you could save the edge a little longer through the race. And something we've been working on with Cameron. And if you look at Cameron's traces, another thing I can show you in the graphs, are getting a lot closer to Jake's.
Yeah.
But in the race, he kind of, especially when he had a couple moments, he kind of reverts back to his normal style. And then the grip starts to go away. So it's something that I need to still keep working on with Cameron and reinforcing it to him every single session. Hey, you need to keep getting that body position. And Jake Zenke was showing him some video of him and worked on his hip positioning so he can actually use his shoulders and head to pick up the bike a little better. And right. I think that's a help for some tracks, and like Laguna Seca, it's not quite as much of a help because you got to flow through that track. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You just pick it up in the middle of the apex. You got to do it when the throttle opens. But there are a lot of corners at Laguna you could do that. And Jake's really, really second nature when it comes to, okay, the thing's spooling up, find a different part of the tire that works.
It's alien stuff, really,
yeah,
right?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of riders worldwide that do that, those kinds of moves. It happens in MotoGP a lot. And I was just refreshing my mind on Portimao last year. I was like kind of surprised, like they weren't picking them up off the corners that much. They were staying on the edge of the tire more than I remembered. So that's interesting. The Pirelli must do a little better with the heat on the edge than the Dunlop or the Michelin MotoGP tire.
So to continue this line of discussion, Matt Testa wants to piggyback off of this. He says he'd be curious to see the lean angle data comparison between Jake and Cam to see how fast Jake snaps the bike upright. Watching at turn 2 and turn 11, Jake is just unreal.
Yeah, I can show you that. I can try to find the lap. You want to see it now?
Yeah, might as well.
Okay. Boy, the share button's getting working pretty damn fast today, huh?
Hey, man,
I almost hit the leave button, sorry. All right, back to sharing. Somebody at Yamaha's gonna complain I'm showing way too much stuff.
Well, you're not showing everything. Right?
No, just some rider junk.
Yeah,
No real strategies.
Right.
Like our distance-based traction control, or our watchdog phase in of soft rev limiter. So yeah, so which lap do you want to see? Okay, we got race 2. The here's Gagne's fast lap 23.4. You want to see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do that one. And then let me see here. Let's pick give Peterson a little bit of credit. We'll pick up his 23.5 lap. Where's he at? That's
and let's just go straight to their turn 11 exit.
Okay. Yeah, turn 11 was a good one. So we'll just do an overlay. This time Peterson's red and Gagne's blue.
Okay.
Okay, so let me eliminate some of this crap down here so it's easy for you to see all this, the lean angle
It's like,
stuff.
yeah, thanks for the squiggly lines.
Yeah, let me just hide a few graphs. Maybe we'll keep front wheel speed. We'll get rid of rear wheel speed, maybe. You know what? We'll just talk about it, and we'll just bring stuff in as we need it.
Okay.
That way, it's easy for you to see it. Here's rear wheel. Get rid of that. So we got gearbox, and then we got speed. We got throttle up here, variance. We get rid of the variance.
By the way, guys, I don't know how many other teams are willing to share this kind of data. So I think this is pretty cool that Richard's kind enough to share this with us.
I'm not kind. So anyway, let's go. What corner do you want?
Let's not get your evil guy reputation.
Yeah. Shut up. So what corner do you want to see?
I think turn 11, just to kind of see how quickly Jake picks the bike up off the corner versus Cam.
Okay, so this is the Q run. So Cam had really a lot of time to concentrate. There's no traffic. There's no rider in front of him. He's not trying to pass someone. He's not trying to catch someone. So if you look at Jake's 23.4 in the race and Cam's 23.5, pretty damn good, right? Not bad for a second year on Superbike. I mean, I think Cameron's doing fantastic on the thing. So again, Cameron is red and Jake is blue. So Jake goes in the corner. This is the V. This is the change direction spot, right?
Right.
And they're a little bit different on when they actually snap the bike or they get into the apex, like when they get to start getting the thing over, and then they get to full lean angle here.
Yeah.
And Jake picks it up and keeps picking it up. Whoop. You see that V?
Yeah.
Or Cameron picks it up and then keeps it leaned over and then goes away from the corner.
Okay.
So but that's a Q run.
Roll. He rolls the corner.
Yeah, he kind of gets to a spot and then he keeps rolling around. Now that could be because I told him to continue the arc towards the pit wall. Because if you continue the arc, then you keep the center of the gravity of the bike low and you're able to apply more power naturally, because then the wheelie control doesn't come on as strong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can see here, Cameron's really been pretty good at matching Jake's pickup. They're pretty damn close, right?
Yeah.
Cameron carries more lean angle, but the snap is pretty good, like gets to full throttle right about here.
Yeah.
So on that run, see, Jake's still a little faster to the throttle right there.
Yeah.
Where Cameron's still rolling a bit. So we're still working on that. So then if you get rid of this guy, Cameron's 23.5 lap, and then you go to a race lap. That's the true test, is when the guys go racing, sometimes it's harder for them to maintain that level of, especially they're changing their riding style or they're trying to adjust their riding style. It's hard for them to go and and maintain that. So, oops, I hit the wrong damn button. All right. Let's grab that one, and then Gagne's best race lap, 23.4. So there's two of their base race laps, race 2. So then you go in here, and then you go, okay, let's have a look here. And now red is Cameron, and once again, Gagne's that turquoise color, whatever you call that thing. So if you go in here, you kind of see, pick a corner. Gagne's still snapping it up a little faster, where Cameron's rolling off the corner. You see it, and he's rolling the throttle open instead of snapping the throttle open. So lose a little bit of time in acceleration in these areas.
And Jake just goes right to the stop, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's his thing. He's got a lot of confidence in the bike. It takes a little bit of effort to build that.
Yeah.
You know, and you can kind of see in the number of different corners like that. You know, where Jake's whoop, straight up and straight to the throttle. You see it?
Yeah.
Where Cameron goes up, and then he kind of opens afterwards, right? So it's a little bit of a lag. And in all fairness to Cameron, he
said it's a lag, and it's like, you know, saying it like that, and then realizing how fast Cam really is.
But see, with that said, Cameron was really fast in the sector coming out of turn 9, the rainy corner.
Yeah,
he's rolling through it. So just because you have a snap up and go type riding style doesn't mean it's the fastest in every corner, because Cameron was really fast here. And he rode around the outside of Petrucci, right there. Yeah, so, and he was making time on Petrucci in that section.
He was
too. So, you know, just because you say it a certain way doesn't mean it's always the best thing, but you analyze, you look at the variance. Here's another thing too. Like, look at the difference going to turn 2. So Jake had a way to pick his turn point where he can use more throttle going over the rise in turn 1, and then more 100% throttle going down into 2.
Wow.
So that makes up a pretty gigantic amount of gain. So if you look at this thing on a variance, he picks up just in that section. It says here 0.378 seconds between start finish and getting the apex of turn 2. So 0.4 of a second almost just in that section. And then Cameron holds his own, makes up a little bit of time, and then loses again right there, you know, going into turn 5. So when Jake was on a roll, he was on a roll. He was actually making up time on Cameron on the brakes, which Cameron was pretty damn good on the brakes. So for him to make up time on Cameron on the brakes, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
On that lap, Jake was really trying to split. He was trying really hard to split.
I think Halvey was saying that I think he was describing what Jake was doing in the races as taking souls.
Yeah, I guess you could say. Yeah.
Okay.
Asking taking names, you know, we used to say that.
He's like crushing souls.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so Paul McMullen wants to know, are there significant differences between your bike and the factory Yamaha World Superbike?
I don't know their bike all that well. I mean, they're probably about I don't know what the geometry is, but I'm going to try to find out before we go to Portimao.
I mean, there's another guy too. I'll just add to this, but you know, what's the max brake pressure that you've seen Jake do? Because there was that video. I think I sent you that video where he was saying that Top Rack hits 22 bar brake pressure on
the front.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we haven't come close to that.
Yeah, I think
Top Rack's pretty amazing on the brakes. That's something we really have to work on before we go there.
So, I mean, you and I shared that video with you. I mean, they had plates welded to the steering head because he said that Top Rack was braking so hard it was twisting the frame or something.
I can see that. I mean, there's a lot of force going on there.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's 100% necessary.
Right.
But I know those guys are demons on the brakes. They know how to use that pearly front really, really strong. So it'd be interesting to see. I don't know if they'll share all their information or not. They should.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to find out.
And then they have that transmission thing where it locks out it locks out neutral.
Yeah. So they have the option of changing their transmissions.
Yeah. Okay, so Joe Novella wants to know, can you bring your unused race tires from one weekend to the next, or do you have to give them back to Dunlop so they can track them and sticker them or whatever?
No, these are all customer tires, nothing special about them.
Okay.
You could buy the tires from, what's the name over there?
Dale.
Dale, yeah, Dale Keeper. They'll
Yeah.
sell you the same tires we're using, not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, we can we buy them, we own them. We can throw them away, and we can put them on our scooter if we want. I mean, it doesn't matter what you use them for. They're nothing special.
Alex wants to know, do you know anything about the kind of electronics they use at Suzuka 8-hour? I hear the Japanese factories, especially Honda, pull out all the stops and use some real unobtainium stuff.
Well, if that's a world endurance series, right? So, yeah, there's no rules with regards to that, to electronics. I think it's open. So I can imagine they can do whatever the heck they want, MotoGP stuff. But I think Yart uses the same system that we have, and I think it's the same software also that Yart uses.
Yeah.
The Yamaha team.
Okay, that sounds fair enough. Okay, so let's see. We got some more questions here. Oh, they were asking if they make you use the same new tires. You have to buy new tires from them every weekend, and
No, you don't have to. You can, as long as it's the same compound and all that stuff, you can sticker it. You can run your own tires out of the truck.
And then Chris McCreary wants to know, what track would you like to go that Moto America has not gone yet? And would you rather continue going to the same tracks or change tracks every few years?
Yeah, changing track sounds cool. The problem is that the motorcycles require so much. That's the problem in the US. And really, none of our tracks are made for motorcycles. Zero. They're all car based.
Okay.
So that means walls are too close, safety barriers are, guardrails, there's this, there's that. The tracks have to go through a lot of changing. Like we're going to Brainerd next. And that used to be a motorcycle track until we outgrew it. And we were going too fast in turn one. They changed the whole place. Now it's like a go-kart track / racetrack thing. Not very much infrastructure. Fun racetrack. It used to be a place I really loved going. But the whole thing is not what it used to be, back in the day when we raced AMA. So, I mean, I'd love to see Mid-Ohio come back. That was a fun track.
Right on.
I think we've outgrown that one too. They actually had a fatality there in the AMA. Larry Schwartzbach, so he got killed and Krivia ran him over, I think. And that deal is that'd been a fun racetrack to go to, Mid-Ohio again. But there's a few racetracks. I think there's one in the Midwest somewhere they're just trying to build now. Can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard there's one in the Ozark area. I've heard there's one in and I think that one's in Missouri, right? And then I think there's another one people talking about maybe in Tennessee. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be cool if they had maybe a new racetrack every couple of years.
Yeah.
It's like we were doing Brainerd and we had to go and test there and learn it and all stuff. It's a challenge for us. I mean, I love it. We go to a new place. I'm really going to enjoy Portimao when we get there.
So, how about Joseph asks, do you have any thoughts or opinions on regional race series like Wiro West and CCS struggles?
No, I don't. I don't know how that stuff's managed. It sounds like a management problem.
Okay.
Because I think there's enough club guys that would love to race different series here in California.
Right.
I mean, you guys had a pretty good turnout for Laguna Seca.
Yeah, we did. A couple weeks ago, we did. I think we probably would have had more if gas wasn't $7.
Yeah, I mean that's a bit of a damper because it's not just the gas. The gas makes the food expensive. The gas makes everything expensive. People don't realize that. These crazy tree huggers think that if they eliminate gas, everything's going to be good. They don't realize they won't be able to afford bread.
Right. Yeah.
Bread's vegetarian, by the way.
Well, yeah. Gluten-free, right?
Gluten-free bread.
Okay, so got a couple questions from Andrew Gower. Do you think that the 1000 should be limited more to be equal, similar to World Superbike?
Hmm. I don't know. I think that the power is not the problem. I think right now the talent pool is the problem.
Okay.
I think that Petrucci's bringing it. So is HSBK. I think Escalante is still learning. It's his first year on a leader bike. Period.
Yeah.
I think he's doing a great job for what he knows.
I have that in my notes. I was going to say about, I have some stuff about the other teams, but, one of them was saying how Richie looked really impressive this past weekend. He was going quick, man. And he was coming there race 2 for sure.
Yeah, I know they try in World Superbike to limit everybody. I think that Ducati's pretty fast. I think their general rule for how many RPMs over stock you can have, they use for kind of a set rule. Yeah, I think it needs to be adjusted a little bit because the Ducati's comes really high RPM stock.
Right.
So that's a pretty big advantage. You can hear that thing coming off the corners. I mean, it can scream a pretty good RPM, and it already makes good top end power. So I think World Superbike, they need to have another look at that to bring the Cowie and the Yamaha up to speed with the Ducati.
Yeah.
In our class, we don't have an RPM limit, so that helps us out. We can spin them up a little bit higher, so we can race with that Ducati. And honestly, the limiting factor, the true limiting factor, is the fuel. We talked about this last time. The HSBK guys had, the Ducati had a couple of failures on fuel.
Right.
Yeah, we had a failure on fuel.
BMW guys
at Kona. Right? I don't know what their failure was. I didn't ask Dave. I thought they might have hurt a valve or something, but it's possible. It had the same kind of weirdness, smoke out the pipe. Looked the same.
Yeah.
At the end of a long straightaway. I mean, it could be too many back shifts and broke a valve. That could cause smoke too. But so I think right now the limiting factor for us is how much horsepower can we extract out of the energy we're given, which is that fuel. So you have to find other ways to be able to make the thing more efficient to utilize that fuel.
So going back to that balancing thing, Andrew's second part of his question is, what do you think of the balancing so far in the super sport class?
I thought we talked about this already, but we'll talk about it again. I think the Ducati and the Yamahas are pretty close. I think the Suzuki's faster, the 750, because you have a couple of rookies that can just throttle up and run away from people.
Right.
Oh, nothing against the Suzuki guys and Chris and John and their program. I just think that they have a bit of an advantage. So I think they should have given the Yamaha full porting, all the 600s, 600cc bikes, make them world super sport spec. But they didn't do that. They had this little tiny rule: you can only port down like 8 to 10 millimeters or 8 millimeters off the bottom of the seat. Does basically nothing. It helps a little bit getting a throat a certain size, but that's about it. And so it doesn't really help. It'd be nice if you're able to do the whole port. At least you can give the 600s a fighting chance against the Suzuki's. I think the Ducati versus the 600s is pretty fair match. It's just that you got that guy we won't mention. He's kind of cherry picking that class. He should be on a Superbike.
Yeah.
That class is kind of a mid-level class, and you got a Superbike champion in there racing it. It's like when Josh Hayes went out and beat that guy. It was he was all up in arms because he got beat by an old guy.
Right.
And then you had that Kawasaki show up with that shop owner dude and beat him again.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not. I think it's the guys that are learning, the Rocco Landers and those guys. They're all still trying to figure it out. They're still trying to figure out how to ride a motorcycle and set it up.
Right.
They need coaching where you got a team that's got a bike that's set up and a guy who knows right around corners and brake hard.
Right. Right.
So that's the difference, I think, in super sport.
Okay, that's fair enough.
More the rider than the bikes, but I think the Suzuki's do have an advantage.
Okay, so back to the track thing that Tim P is saying that the Tennessee track is in all capital letters, not for bikes at all.
Yeah.
2 hours from him, and it's very narrow. That doesn't sound promising.
No, Ridge wasn't a motorcycle track either. They went out of their way to make it one.
So speaking of tracks, why does the Ridge need a chicane? This is from Frank. Fran O'Hagan.
The entry speed would be so fast going in there that you would need to get into the next door neighbor's yard to stop the bikes. I mean, Cameron Peterson already ended up in the next door neighbor's yard in that top turn there.
When I was there with you guys a couple years ago at the test with Cam and Cam Bobier and Jake, that original turn one looked like if something went wrong in turn one, you would be in those trees for sure.
Yeah, pretty much. It'd be really, really fast.
Yeah,
but I think
local guys are saying 180, you know.
I think everyone tried it. It's just too fast, at least for the level we're at. Wouldn't be very safe if two guys got together and one guy got pushed off, like Petrucci bumped Cameron Peterson out of the way or something in that turn. You know, it'd be pretty bad result.
All right, so here's
especially if it was wet. Can you imagine wet in grass?
Yeah, no, the bike accelerates in the grass, right?
Well, it doesn't slow down.
Right.
Much.
Exactly. So Testa says that he knows that you don't watch the other races much, but what are your thoughts on Bryce Prince rolling off his couch and putting a Yamaha on P2 in stock 1000? Good to see a rider do well on the R1 in stock 1000.
Well, we won a championship with that bike, and when I was helping Mean Motorsports, and what was that?
16.
17.
17?
17, yeah.
Oh yeah, 17.
Pretty much smashed everyone, won the championship. I think of Race-CRA. The bike's more than capable, you know. And then nothing against. Well, I'm not a real big.
That was 16. 17. They tried to race Superbike. Remember?
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Mean folded. 16,
yeah, 16 was right because 18 we ran our bike in Superbike. But in 17, Bryce Prince took that other guy's bike, which I won't mention, you know, and tried to race it and did very not so good at it. So he finally got a setup he likes.
Yeah.
No idea, but should have been able to smash everyone with that Yamaha one.
Well, like I said, like Matty said, he rolled off the couch basically, and
yeah,
you know.
Well, it shows how good the bike is.
Right. And then let's see here. Man, Tim P says they've been getting bad batches of VP fuel lately.
Who has?
Yeah, I don't know what that means. You guys don't. What are you guys running in fuel? What's it called?
MGP.
MGP.
Like MotoGP.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the origin of that fuel was in with our CRT bike in 2012. So I talked to Bruce at VP. He was a really totally great guy.
Yeah.
Said, hey man, we're gonna be racing wildcard MotoGP. Do you guys have anything for us? He's like, I'm interested. And he sent a batch off and got it certified. And I think when Moto America started doing the deal with them, they said, okay, we already have an FIM spec fuel. And so they reintroduced that. But I don't remember that stuff having ethanol in it back in the day. And now it's ethanol-based oxygenate. I think it's a little hard on the engines. You know, I don't know if the octane number is where it's supposed to be. The HSBK guys said that the fuel color in their bike that cooked their engine at Ridge said that the color was a little different. They think the ethanol was double the content. So instead of 8%, probably was 16%, you know, to get the oxygen number. And so again, this is secondhand information. So I'm just relaying what I heard. Don't know if it's 100% true or any bit of true. But yeah, it seems like they're seeing some variance. We check our specific gravity and color and smell and all that stuff as much as we can without having a laboratory in our truck, you know. And recently the drums have been the same. You know, we've been testing like 749 with a temperature, whatever the fuel temperature is, 60 something C or F. We've been testing every one's like 749, 750. The ones that we had at Coda were 765. So they're way different, and they smell different, you know, and obviously burn different.
Right.
Yeah.
Burned being
burned. Yeah, burned. Flamethrower different.
So let's talk about some of the other classes too. I mean, the Junior Cup's been pretty competitive.
This is Superbike Genius, not Junior Cup Genius.
You know, I mean, we'll talk about other classes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
yeah, I got you.
Those are the kids coming up, and who knows? Some of those kids might be riding your bikes.
Yeah, the girl's pretty impressive.
Yeah, Kayla and
Yeah.
but Max Van ended up crashing each other out both days.
Yeah, yeah, that part's not impressive.
What?
That part's not impressive.
No, no, not at all. But I mean, they're so on the edge and they're so close to each
Yeah,
other.
Joseph really likes Brian and Max. You know,
Yeah.
they buy a lot of stuff from us and they sell it. So we're fans of theirs, and I'm fans of anybody coming up. Really, I mean, Kayla's coming up strong. Sure, be great to see her in the future on a Superbike. Let's say maybe she'll break that glass ceiling. You know.
Yeah, I mean, she seems to be kind of a demon on the brakes, you know. So,
Yeah,
and
work
then
out.
another thing, did you happen to see Yoshimura's R7?
I did.
And
I didn't
thoughts?
have a close look at it. I mean, it looked cool. I just didn't have
Yeah,
a close look at it. We're too busy, man. We
I
got a
know.
program to run. We're not out there being spectator like you and shaking hands and
I'll stop.
rubbing elbows at people and high fiving and fist bumping.
Oh,
I'm
well,
busy.
I wasn't crying and hugging though.
No Italian crying and hugging. You can't tell if something went wrong or if something went good. So I was crying and hugging.
Okay, so but I know I know you. I introduced you to Yasaki Yoshimura, right?
Yeah.
So,
I didn't realize how young he was, man. 38.
I didn't either. I thought he was older than that. I had no idea.
It's like, I mean, he looks even younger because he's, smaller Japanese guy. He got his hat on. It's like, who is this kid?
Yeah. Yeah, I did notice you tried to scumbag him into coming back to Superbike, which is funny.
Oh yeah, I shamed him a little bit. Where's your Superbike? Bring your Superbike.
Yeah.
Superbike, bring it over here.
It'd be cool
Back when we got this deal, it was we had wrapped up the deal with Yamaha, and literally a month later, or a few weeks later, it was announced that Yoshimura's pulling out. I was like, oh man, I was bummed. I really wanted to race. That was, Yoshimura has been the icon of AMA road racing since I was a teenager.
Right.
I really want to race those guys. So I was kind of bummed out that they weren't around.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it'd be cool to see them come back in some, on a Superbike, on a real program, and both of them, him and Big E, together, they basically just said they need a dancing partner. So
yeah.
hello, insert manufacturer here. Yoshimura would like to do Superbike racing.
I think Yoshimura's. I mean, just listening to him to him talk about it, I think they're pretty happy not being pigeonholed as the Suzuki guys.
Yes.
I think they can do a lot better in the industry by selling various manufacturers' products. I think they do a lot of OEM stuff too, don't they? Like for a lot of.
Yeah, I mean, I know they make a lot of the OEM stuff even for Yamaha.
Yeah.
For a while, they were doing some carbon stuff for SpaceX.
Whatever it takes to pay the bills, keep the lights on.
So, I mean, they've got a good program over there. I'm sure when it comes time when they want to go racing, they'll figure something out. So,
yeah, they're pretty adamant that Honda's not coming back to.
Yeah, they really weren't they?
Honda and Cowie, the last holdouts from the DMG days.
Yeah. So, let's see, Andrew Gower again. Dude, he just a heads up, Andrew's kind of like he's like a force to be reckoned with online. He's like that voice, right? So just
bring it.
But anyway, so he says he's curious what you think about the younger riders moving up from classes like Junior Cup. Is it better for them to go to Twins, or is it better for Super Sport?
Probably Twins right now, because I think it's more. It might be the bikes are easier to get and hard to say, but it's about the same. Yeah. I think Super Sport with that guy we won't mention, Bryden, you have to try pretty hard to win. And some of the other kids are going to be like Rocco and Smith, and those guys are, and then the two Suzukis. They're pretty competitive. So I think it's going to be hard for someone to get right in there. Where the Twins, I think they'll have more of a shot running up front. Makes sense?
Yeah.
They can probably progress to. The thing is, though, I mean, if you want, you should probably try to progress fast. So go to Twins, then go to Super Sport, and go straight to Super Stock. because when you get to super stock, you can race with the super bikes and you can learn a lot. You know, so if kids are coming up, they grow pretty fast, right? They're gonna get pretty tall pretty quick.
Right.
Trying to idle in one spot too long. Like I was trying to tell Rocco's dad that I was hoping Rocco would race super stock this year.
Yeah.
You know, I told Rocco that too.
Like he's
did good.
focus.
His riding is coming up. He really should be on a stocker. You know?
Yeah. On a big bike.
Yeah, he should do what Cameron did. He should get on a big bike and start beating up on some of the super bikes, and somebody will give him a ride on a super bike, you know?
Right.
That would be the hope, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd imagine so. That would, maybe stress the family out a little bit less. Right? Because they're still kind of doing it.
I don't know.
So, okay. Your next round is what, Brainerd, right?
Brainerd.
Couple weeks, yeah?
Yep. 2 weekends
So,
off.
any fancy new hotness that you're gonna bust out for Brainerd?
You know, it's hard to say. We have some new brake rotors that I really would like to get on there, and so that's going to happen. And we always tweak the engine config just a little bit here and there, just try to get a little bit out of it. But we're kind of going at it slow with the fuel restrictions, you know.
Yeah.
And we have a swing arm we're trying to get on there. I don't know if Brainerd's the best place to use it compared to what we have. You know, so we're kind of debating what we're going to bring out. We have a list of things, but just debating. It's like you don't want to throw something in there to kind of rock the boat when things are going right. You kind of want to show up and just keep doing the same thing that works and keep fine tuning it. You know, there's a lot to gain in electronics. There's a lot to gain in just getting everything going the right direction.
That's fair enough. Well, you know what, Richard, it's been a good chat. Wish you the best of luck. I guess I'll see you Friday. I got to go pick up the glitter bike from your shop.
Yeah, the Elvis machine.
Elvis machine? Damn, dude.
Yeah, it looks like, Elvis in Vegas or something.
Hey, man, taking care of business, right?
Yeah. That thing's like, or is that like a 1970s boat?
No, dude.
All that metal flake on there.
It's a lowrider, dude. It's like a Cadillac Brougham. Come on now.
Yeah, you should cruise Pico Rivera with that thing.
I should.
Whittier Boulevard,
dude.
Was that Gil who had that like little lowered Volkswagen he used to cruise around there?
Yes.
He grew up in that area.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Not my thing, Whittier Boulevard.
Yeah.
All right, man.
The only thing missing is a chain link steering wheel. Right? Yeah. No?
Sounds good.
All right, man. Well, good luck next round, and we'll have a chat then.
Right.
I did get asked really quick. When we're going to do our suspension masterclass thing.
Yeah, I got to think about that.
Time.
Going on. Yeah, time. I got to like prep and study and
into the season.
Yeah, probably so. What I was thinking would be interesting is if we showed some more, because I'm not John Cornwell, suspension guru / philosopher. I'm more like a geeky scientist style physics dude. So
you want to do one with John?
He likes to get into the head thing.
Okay.
Because that's such an important part of racing is all up at the cranium. I think he gets more out of, putting the screwdriver in the brain and twisting a couple clicks there than he does out of suspension. Suspension's like an add-on to the brain thing.
Okay.
Where I'm more like the physics guy and I want to have all the forces balanced and things like that. So maybe we do more of a geometry suspension type thing, like what different things mean. We can bring up some moto spec and show like, hey, when you do this, this is what happens.
Yeah.
And that can affect that instead of, the whole Zen thing.
You used to give me shit about suspension back in the day. You're like, it's so simple. It's just pushing oil through a hole.
That's basically it.
Right on.
All right.
And Mark Gagne says that thing is a glitter bomb.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Well,
tell him he's a glitter bomb.
We all do have the same haircut. So,
yeah, the shiny glitter. Do some glitter on that head of yours.
Hey, man, what are you going to do? All right, Richard. Well, I'm going to let you go. Go back to work. Get your coffee going or